Hey everybody! So I'm going to do some canning today. Most of my good friends know that I like to do a lot of canning. I can most of my garden. I can a lot of meats. I do turkey, chicken, beef. I haven't done a lot of pork, but since Zaycon went under and I won't be buying a lot of inexpensive chicken in bulk anymore, I'll probably be doing more pork because it is cheaper to buy per pound. This is a pork shoulder, but bone in, and I usually cook this for 8 hours in my slow cooker to do pulled pork. Today I'm going to do an experiment with my canning, pressure canning. I always want to pressure can meats. I'm going to use my pulled pork recipe that I do in the slow cooker in my jars and see how it turns out. Usually when I can meat, I don't put anything in it. It's just a raw pack, cold with nothing but the meat, no salt, no anything, because I'll add it to other recipes when I open a jar. But today I want to do pulled pork and see how it turns out. This is a almost 9-pound pork shoulder. I think it'll probably get me 4 full quarts after I trim off the big layer of fat on this side and add the spices and the sugar and the rub and the onion at the bottom. When you're canning meat, it will always make its own juice. You don't want to add a lot of liquid or it will overflow. And my recipe has Coca-Cola in it, just a little bit. So I'm not going to pack the jars as tight because it is going to make its own liquid and it's going to rise up, and I don't want it to seep out and ruin my seals. Speaking of seals, I use toddler lids. I only use regular ball lids when I know I'm going to be giving away my jars to people. I will not give away my toddler lids. They're expensive. They're reusable. Right now I have about a little over 200 between wide mouth and regular mouth lids that I use on a regular basis. I'm working to build that up more since I have around probably over 500 jars total to my stock. So right now about 300 of them are full of food, and most of the empties are out in the shop. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting up the meat. I will fast forward through most of that so you don't have to sit and wait through all the boring parts, and show you what I'm going to do and what the recipe calls for, and we'll see how it turns out. So I'm just going to start cutting off the excess fat. Don't really want that in the canning jars so much because it can cause them to not seal properly. When the fat liquefies, it becomes greasy, gets under your lids. If you don't like watching meat be butchered, you should probably not watch this part. Okay, I'm gonna put together the rub now. And if you guys want the recipe, I'll put it in the comments. So 1 cup brown sugar. I make my own brown sugar, by the way. Might need a bigger bowl than that. Brown sugar you can make yourself with just white sugar and molasses and mix it up in your mixer. Works great. Kitty, move. Come on, get out of there. Sorry, I just shoo away my cat. Gonna knock over my camera. This rub doesn't need to be exact. Look at this here. Okay. Put it in a bigger bowl. This is just the rub that I'm going to put on the meat. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit of oil on the meat, coat it, and put on the rub. So for my one that I stick in the slow cooker, I put the oil all over the big pork shoulder and then put the rub all over the edges and throw it in the slow cooker on top of onions and the other seasonings that I'm going to do. It's be about like that. Alright. Alright. In the slow cooker, I put the onions in the bottom. So I'm just going to do the same for the jars. And when I pull the meat out, some people leave this in when they shred it, but I don't. Most people in my family like the onion flavor, but they don't actually like eating the onions. So I take those out when the meat's done. All right. This is liquid smoke. I don't want hardly any. I put very little in the crock pot too. Sorry. All right. Just a little bit of basil in each one. I know it seems odd, these seasonings that I put in, but it turns out really good. Put parsley. And a little bit of oregano. I need to wash that off. The oregano I buy is whole, and so it's really strong, so I don't want to put a lot of that in there. As you can see, by use half, I'm too strong. I always have to write that on there and remind myself, oops, not to use too much of that. It's really strong. Like that. Okay. So normally I would stick the meat in the crock pot and then I would put the Coke in around it. And you don't add very much because even in the crock pot the meat is going to make its own liquid, a lot of liquid. So I don't want to put very much in each jar. And it's not really for flavoring because you don't taste it when it's done. It's more of just a meat tenderizer, which I might not even need, because the pressure canner, it really tenderizes meat really well. So when you're canning meat, you just stick the meat in. That's all you do. Since this is going to make a lot of juice, I don't want that juice in the bottom. Don't want to fill these as packed tight as I normally would when I can meat. Well, if I can get some more of this. Didn't quite get 4 full quarts. Bone thing there. I'm going to leave it there. And I got a clean rag here. I'm going to put some white vinegar on there, and I'm going to clean up the lids, the rims here, excuse me. You don't want anything on there that's going to get in the way of your seal. Especially with how much sugar is in the rub and in the pop. Anything sticky can ruin your seal. Okay. Okay, so I'm doing a cold pack, but I still heat up my Tattler lids anyway. Tattler lids are different in the way that you use them. You still have to scald them compared to the new ball lids, which tell you not to boil anymore. So then you put them on, and you put your band on, and you go hand tight, and then you come back just like a 1/4 inch. It's really important that you do that step so that they don't kind of explode, I guess. So it has a little rubber gasket and a BPA-free plastic reusable lid. Both parts are reusable. They're good for up to 20 uses. So if you're using, one for one jar a year, that's 20 years. I do a lot more canning than that, so mine might last me 10, but it's still a worthwhile purchase. And then another step that is different for Tattler lids is that when you take them out, you need to let them sit for about 5 minutes, and then you need to tighten the lid back down. Regular ball lids, you do not do that. And then you won't have the ping. Everyone loves the ping. I miss not hearing that, but you don't get any ping. So you won't know if they're good and sealed until the next day when they cool off. But they are totally worth it, not having to pay the cost of metal lids. So now I'm going to put them in the canner, which has, I just turned it on before I started the camera again. Since I'm doing a cold pack, you want it to be cold water. I do not want it hot. Too much of that would possibly crack your jars. Okay, so this is my hot plate. I have a glass top stove, and although you can be successful canning on these, I don't, because if your canner exceeds the width of your heat ring, that's what causes your glass top stove to actually crack, because if it gets too hot out here, like from a water bath canner, sorry, keep losing focus, that's how you crack your stove. My husband bought me these awesome hot plates. I have 2 of them, and I have 2 pressure canners that I like a lot. So my 4 jars are in there, and I'm going to put the lid on, and I will come back when it's venting. So the temperature is coming up, and it's starting to vent. It's not venting hard enough yet to do my 10-minute time. You can see, sorry for my video here, that it's venting right here from the lock also, but that's not where you want to vent from. You want to vent from the vent hole right there, right in the center. When you get a nice steady stream coming through there, then you want to time it for 10 minutes to let it vent. And then when the 10 minutes is done, you put the weight on. And you do not start your timing process for what you're pressure canning until your pressure canner has reached the pounds pressure that you need. So where I live, we are just under 1,000 feet, so it's 10 pounds to 11 pounds per pressure for me for anything that I cook in the pressure canner. For anybody else, depending on where you live, it's going to be different for you. Since I'm pressure canning meat, it will be 90 minutes for quarts and 70 minutes for pints. So I'm doing quarts, so it'll be 90 minutes once I reach the 10 pounds per pressure. I can't see it. There's just too much light behind the window. Anyway, I will come back when it is venting good and I will explain the weights. Okay, my lock has gone up and the steam is only coming out of the vent. Right there. I don't know if you can, it's kind of hard to see the steam, but it is only coming out of the vent hole now. And so I'm going to time that for 10 minutes to release all the air that I can out of the canner. Let's start that now. And then I'll come back when the 10 minutes is up. Okay, it's almost time to put the weights on, but I wanted to talk about the weights. So every 23-quart pressure canner comes with this weight. This is a 15-pound weight, and what that means is it will not start to jiggle until you've reached 15 pounds of pressure on your canner. So for years I canned with my 23-quart pressure canner here, and I would have to constantly adjust the heat up and down so that I wasn't going over my pounds per pressure that I need for food. And where I'm at, that's 10 to 11 pounds per pressure for food, not 15. You don't want to go too high. And I didn't realize that this was a 15-pound weight. So I ordered this one, which is a 2-piece, hold on, I can't focus, is a 2-piece weight for 5 and 10 pounds. And once I did that and it started to jiggle at 10 pounds, it holds that pressure for you where you want it to be, and you don't have to adjust the heat very hardly at all. The 15-pound one I was having to adjust all the time because it wanted to get it up to the jiggle at 15 pounds, and I didn't want it going that high. And I always wondered, why isn't my weight jiggling? Well, that's because every new Presto pressure canner comes with a 15-pound weight, and depending on where you live, you might need that one. And that's the one that I need. So, I am at 18 seconds, so I'm going to put this on the counter, sorry. Okay, so I put my weight on, and now I'm just going to wait. The lock is up, which means you cannot open the lid, and I need to get up to, still can't see it because it's just too bright, sorry. I need to wait for the pressure to get up to at least 11 pounds before I start timing the cook time. Okay, so we're getting close to 11 pounds, and you can see the rocker, the weight is starting to rock. Once it gets a good rock, just past, it's about 11 pounds. I will start the timer for an hour and a half, 90 minutes per quarts. And I probably will only have to, with this new weight, only have to adjust the heat once. As soon as it gets going really good, about 10 minutes in, then I will take this speed down between high and medium, and I can walk away, leave it there, and I could actually go sit in my chair, and all I gotta do is listen for the rocker. You can tell if it's getting a little too high because it'll rock faster. It's not going to go too low, but you would know if it's going too low if it's not rocking anymore and making that steam and jiggle noise. So the 90 minutes are up. So what I do, I turn off the heater completely and I unplug it. And I leave it sit there until it comes down off of pressure. Don't try and move it. It's way too heavy, way too hot. You don't want to do anything until it reaches 0 pounds per pressure. Don't try to open it. Don't take off the weight. Just wait. Okay. Jar is still hot. Looks good. taste tester. Yep.
Hot?
No, it's not too bad. Come here.
I like this instead really hot.
Come here. The video is rolling. Come taste it.
Is that on the video?
Yes. Pretty good.
It's hot.
It's not hot. Satisfactory?
Yep, that's good. Where's your sliders?
Awesome. They are right here. Okay. Just a real taste test.
You gotta repeat that. I don't want my voice being heard on the video.
Too late. Mm-hmm. You gonna bring the sauce here?
Nope. I'm not trying to take my voice off the video.
Everybody's hearing that. Okay, that's good. Come on, I need to finish the video. Stop that. My husband's being annoying. Hey! Alright, take one. Go ahead. Oh yeah. That's really good. Alright, I'm gonna be doing lots of that. That turned out awesome.